first point on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. So get everyone to stand, face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I've got a few changes. So we have names under resignations, a new name under employment, and the new business is scratched. All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda approved. I'd like to start off with recognitions. Ms. Daltrey?
So Callie is a very, very busy lady, and so it has taken us a few board meetings for us to be able to cross paths again, but she is our 2024 Ward County Teacher of the Year. She has done an outstanding job at Ward County High School and is moving to the middle school for next year, so, but has done a terrific job. As you well know, from the vacancies at the high school that we have now filled, that she vacated, she has worn a lot of hats here at Ward County High School and done a tremendous job in each one of those that she has taken on. So I think our in lieu photographer over there can get a picture, and maybe because the front of the stage is kind of narrow, we can gather down on the ground floor off the stage and present her with this certificate and get a picture. Congratulations. Callie, we appreciate all that you do.
Next on recognition is Mr. Casey McNulty.
So Casey is not with us again this evening. He asked if he needed to be here because we've already presented him with the Ward County Service Personnel of the Year. And the last couple board meetings that we had, it was still embargoed and we couldn't release it. But it is my pleasure to announce that Casey McNulty is one of the 4 state finalists for Service Personnel of the Year. And I would like to read a little bit. I've got an email from Brooke Green at the West Virginia Department of Education, and it says, "Dear Superintendent, the blanket of confidentiality has been lifted for Service Personnel of the Year finalists. Please feel free to share the exciting news. Attached you'll find a save the date for the celebration of excellence in education, honoring the 2025 Teacher and Service Personnel of the Year, scheduled for Tuesday, September 10th, at the Cultural Center in Charleston. A formal letter will be sent out next month with additional details and a registration link." So Casey, if you were watching, a very heartfelt congratulations on being one of the finalists for State Service Personnel of the Year. Congratulations.
Next on the agenda under information Worth County High School PBIS and CIS information.
Okay, we've got several folks wanting to come and share with you. So Worth County has implemented a PBIS program, and they're going to talk a little bit about that. They've had some very good success with that this year, and also with the communities and schools, and they have been asked to, well, I think that you are a PBIS model school, and then the communities in school was so successful that they invited you to speak at their, when is that?
It's next week.
Next week.
Thursday at the Student Support Institute.
So no pressure.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Dottie, what lineup you have or who you want to speak. I'll turn it over to you and just let you share a little bit about PBIS at the high school.
Good evening. It's a funny being in here for a board meeting. Can you hear it now? Is that better?
Oh,
Okay. Usually I don't need a mic. But Worth County High School's been very fortunate to be able to institute PBIS and communities and schools for our students and our staff. I think it has been two programs that have complemented each other because we've been able to merge a lot of what each of the programs do to help our students. And our staff has been phenomenal in working together to see that these programs are successful. It has been a lot of work. Callie Doherty took the lead at the high school for the last 2 years. One of her final things that she did was apply for the model schools for PBIS at the high school, and we were selected as one of the Tier 1 model schools for next school year. What that's going to entail is we will have other schools coming to visit our school system. They will take some of the practices that we have put in place and hopefully take away some ideas that they can use in their school that has been successful. Ms. Doherty also has a presentation that we're going to show you that has been shared at some different levels of conferences that we have attended. Callie has been asked to present at several of these conferences right off the get-go, because we have stuck with the program, the protocols that have been set in place, and as part of that team, we have seen great successes for our school. I'm anxious to see, as we implement phase 2 of PBIS this school year, where that's going to lead us. So at this time, I would like for Callie to come forward.
Kelly, I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
what's PBIS?
Okay, so that's one of the things that I was going to talk about first. So, like Mrs. Smith said, we've implemented PBIS here at the high school for 2 years, fully implemented it for a couple of years now. But one of the first questions is, what is PBIS? Like, a lot of times we throw that term around with our kids and our staff. So I wanted to kind of address that and what it looks like in our school today. I also wanted to talk about how we implement it, who PBIS is at the school. Is it, a team of people? Is it the whole school? Some problems that we wanted to address with PBIS and why we're, focusing on it so much. What PBIS looks like from a staff and student perspective, and then a quick data overview so you can see some of the amazing outcomes that we've had. So first, what is PBIS? PBIS stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports, which is basically a long way of saying we provide wraparound support for every student in our school by meeting them where they are. So on the left, you'll see our multi-tiered system. This is the system that PBIS pushes and implements. Tier 1 is the green triangle, and that's available to every student every day. Those are supports that our kids have access to, no matter what their academic, behavioral, whatever it might be. That's Tier 1. One step up from that is tier 2, which is that yellow triangle. You'll notice the green triangle is still encompassing those, so even if you're a tier 2 or 3 student, or on that list, you're still getting tier 1 supports as well. So tier 2, we aim to have about 15% of our kids in that category and being addressed by those supports. And then at the top of the triangle, we have tier 3 services, which are individualized services. And I'm going to talk about kind of what those look like at our school. The biggest thing with PBIS is that the whole school has to be involved for it to work. It can't be Callie saying this is what's going to happen. It can't be Amanda saying this is what's going to happen. It has to be every single staff member has to have buy-in into the program, and the students have to have buy-in into the program. PBIS is based on 5 elements that we really push, and it's equity, systems, data, practices, and outcomes. So hopefully in this really short presentation, you'll see how those are implemented. So who does PBIS at the high school? So we have a tier 1 team. Those tier 1 members meet monthly. It's composed of teachers from every content area. An admin always attends, the school therapist. Amanda comes from Communities in Schools, and Ty, our school probationary officer. So we try to get everybody's voice at the table and make sure every area of our staff is represented. We also have a PBIS tier 2 and 3 team, which because there's so much overlap with the CIS program, Amanda's kind of taken over that one. They meet bi-weekly, and that's where we discuss those individualized and small group supports for our kids that have academic, behavior, social emotional, whatever their struggles might be. We want to identify those kids and meet them where they are. Student council also began to play a big role in that. I was the co-sponsor for student council for the past couple years, so it made sense that those kids had their voice heard. That's one of our passions at the high school, is making sure kids have their voices heard, and it's very important to us. So we would have student council representatives come to our PBIS meetings, especially when we were discussing like reward days and things like that. We would also have them give input during their individual meetings so they were more comfortable. We weren't, just talking in front of adults. And then, like I mentioned earlier, it really takes a full staff implementation for this to work, especially at that tier 1 level, because everybody has to be doing it or it's not fair. So these were the problems we were looking at with PBIS. So we wanted to improve the sense of community within our school. We knew when we came back from COVID, our kids didn't feel related to the school. They didn't feel like they wanted to be here every day and be part of the community. So that was a huge problem we identified and wanted to address. We wanted to decrease repetitive negative behaviors, things like if kids are skipping class constantly, just anything that was repetitive, we wanted to drop those down. Establishing clear expectations and then outlining clear procedures and criteria for discipline escalation. We wanted kids to know if you did this, this was your consequence. If you do it a second time, your consequence is going to, it's going to escalate. Improving attendance was a big one that Amanda really helped us this year, working on increasing incentives and things like that. But overall, we wanted PBIS to provide an umbrella for various pieces of the puzzle that we're working within our school. You've all been around school systems and there's lots of moving parts, and if there's not an umbrella that those parts fall under, there's not going to be communication as to what's going on. So PBIS really served as the vehicle for that communication and all the pieces that were moving. So you all have this sheet in front of you. It's the PBIS puzzle pieces sheet. This is what we've been asked to present on at conferences a lot, because PBIS is hard to implement at the high school level because it's, in my opinion, and Mrs. Smith can correct me if I'm wrong, it's really designed for an elementary level. Lower middle school is kind of the trainings that we go to. A lot of the examples we're seeing are targeted at elementary. So this is what they really kind of pointed out in our model schools application that they liked. So you'll notice in tier 1 we have recognition and rewards programs, that positive feedback for students at the classroom, school, and district level. Tier 2, we currently have about 30 to 40 students. It varies because we evaluate students bi-weekly. There's a referral process for that. We have things like academic and social emotional support groups that meet bi-monthly. We have weekly tutoring, an informal mentor system. We also, brand new, coming in 24-25, our kids just started at the end of last year, are going to have a student-led mental health and positivity committee, where the kids are taking charge of, planning fun events and just increasing general positivity around the school. Tier 3 is kind of that focus group of students that really need that individualized support. So those are things like therapy, once again, our Communities in Schools referral program. We have a Zen Den, which is just kind of a calming area. We actually established 3 within the school, and kids that are recognized as needing a place to go and kind of chill out and de-escalate can go to those places, of course, with approval and supervision. And also our truancy process. We kind of lumped that in under a Tier 3 support. So this is what it looks like at Work County High School. So we have our Back to School Bash, which is where we train our kids all day long on expectations in the school. And you might be thinking, why does a 10th grader need to know how to go to the bathroom? Because bathroom referrals are one of our highest areas of referral. So we do lots of reteach and establishing those expectations very clearly on day 1. And you can see some of the pictures there. We had the bus drivers involved, we had the cooks involved. I mean, every part of the school was involved in this. We continued with DG activities about expectations, where the kids had to produce products where they could see, demonstrate that they knew the expectations. We implemented our Live School Point system, which is every time a student meets an expectation or a teacher basically catches them behaving or following the rules, they get a point for that as immediate recognition and feedback. We also had some rewards like Fall Fest and Winter Fest. And then internally within our PBIS team and then reaching out to our staff, we really focused hard on data this year and identifying not only individual students that had behavioral or academic struggles, but groups or kind of hotspots within our data where we needed to focus as the staff. In our second semester, we had our rock, paper, scissors contest. We had some more rewards like the Sweet Frog and Stoke trip, baseball and bowling. But we also continue to loop back around where we were focusing on expectations by teaching them during our developmental guidance time. And we had lots of activities around that. All of the things that you see up there that are reward type things, students had to earn their way to that reward. So by meeting goals that were focused on academics, attendance, and behavior, they had to earn their way into the reward basically. And then we wrapped up the year with our Teen Issues Day, which was a whole school activity they didn't have to qualify for. We involved everybody. Jerry Olympics was super popular this year with the Elizabeth Care Center, and our Wellness Day. And our students, all of our students, no matter what tier, no matter how many Live School Points they had, participated in that. And those were some of the kids' favorite activities. So just quickly, some highlights. On average, our students earned 127 Live School Points this year. They had to earn 35 per 9 weeks to qualify for each reward. Our Meeks Mondays was taught by Kelly Meeks. Those were our small groups that Tier 2 kind of support. She had background in counseling, so we really used that to our advantage. And we focused on social emotional learning and academics. We planned 12 school-wide student events this year, which was a lot, but our kids, the difference that we can see in our kids and their morale and their willingness to come to school is amazing because we're putting so much effort into this. We also had 41 students that received Tier 2 or 3 support that were paired with a staff mentor. So they had it was called an informal Tiger mentor, and that person would go and check up on them once a week, just make sure they were doing okay. So on the outcome side of this is why we love PBIS. In 1 year, we had a 63.7% decrease in classroom referrals. That was huge for our school. And a lot of it was identifying these problems, realizing what reteach looks like, all of that. We also had a 4.7% reduction in office managed behaviors. Those are things that went to Mrs. Smith and Dr. Blake. We're hoping to continue to bring that down this coming year. And you each have a sheet that has some green on it, and that breaks down that data a little bit further if you're interested. Our attendance also has been steadily improving over the past couple of years. You'll see the first year we did PBIS, it jumped up to 89%. This year it went up to 90% for our school average for the year. And this is what PBIS has looked like for us and where we're going. You'll see this year we were kind of in that orange area where we were really focusing on Tier 1 implementation and incorporating student voice. Next year, Fort County High School is looking forward to a full Tier 2 implementation and making sure we have the documentation to back up all of our practices. We're going to implement a check-in, check-out system, so kind of a more formalized mentor approach where those kids are meeting with mentors on a scheduled basis, and then we get data from that, and just continue, maintenance of Tier 1 and communication. So these are all of our Tier 1 and Tier 2 team members that were on there. You'll see we have everybody involved that is interested in having a voice. So we have a big team. Several of these overlap between the two different teams. And then our model schools, just our recognition from them was really exciting this year. We're one of 3 high schools in the state that has ever achieved that. The other 2 are Wheeling Park, which is a massive high school compared to us, and Clay County High School, who's been doing PBIS for years. So we were really excited in our second year to be recognized with that by the state. If you guys have any questions, and I think Amanda's going to talk a little bit about CIS as well.
Question on the PBIS. So it looks like roughly 10% of the high schools are Tier 2 or Tier 3.
Yes.
Is that clustered around any grade? So is it evenly distributed, or is it more among the upperclassmen and lowerclassmen?
So we've seen, by looking at our data, most of our kids that we're identifying for Tier 2, 3 services are 9th and 10th graders, but of course we have some from 11th and 12th grade that are receiving those Tier 3 supports. But a lot of the behavior and academic struggles is just an adjustment to high school. That's a huge change for kids. And that's what we're seeing, is that adjustment period in their 9th and 10th grade year is really challenging. So that's kind of where our focus has been, while still providing supports as needed to our upperclassmen.
And then you mentioned that some of the students would come in and out of the Tier 2 and 3.
Yes.
Is there any incentives or disincentives to leave the upper tiers to go back down to the lower tiers?
Right, so if you are a Tier 3 student, you are probably seeing Amanda, or Ty, or Dottie, or all 3, at least once a week. So the incentive is you're not, constantly being badgered to, improve. But we're also, some of those Tier 3 kids are in situations where it's not their fault they're in that situation. That student might be really struggling at home, and we need to provide wraparound support in the form of therapy and support from our Communities in Schools closet and that sort of thing. So it's definitely on a case-by-case basis. The way the students are placed into Tier 2 and 3 is all data-driven. So we look at behavior, how many discipline referrals they have, attendance. Any students that are on the truancy list go into Tier 2 or 3 supports, and our kind of social-emotional with our therapy program. And academics as well. Any students that I think we had failing more than one core course, we put on our Tier 2 list.
Good thing. Define Zen. Z-E-N,
Yeah.
Zen, access path.
Yeah, so Zen is, we stole that from Wheeling Park. I forget what they called theirs. It was something similar to Zen Den. It's basically a calming place. So we set one up in Mrs. Starcher's room. We have one set up in Mr. Myers' office, and the counseling room, as well as Ty's room, has some pieces of it. But basically, it's an area where kids can go when they're in kind of this escalated state and calm down. So we have things like a sound machine in there. We have things like stress balls. We have things like journaling supplies. We're obviously not just sitting them in there to sit by themselves, but they're in there, they're supported while they're in there, and they have some tools available to help them calm down. Just kind of like a calming corner at an elementary level. The kids like Zen Den is the title. So.
My second question is, makes me a little bit nervous to look at mental health student-led committees.
Right.
That concerns me.
Yeah. So mental health student-led committees doesn't mean kids are diagnosing other kids with mental health issues. That's not what that means. What that means, and we're following this model out of Oak Hill High School. I can't remember what county they're from off the top of my head. In the southern part, what is it? Fayette County in the southern part of the state. I went to a conference in, I believe it was April. It was over spring break. And I have never been so impressed by any speaker I've ever sat in front of as I was those kids. I was blown out of the water. Andrea Bailey and I took two of our high school girls with us, Abby Deaton and Maggie Bailey, and they're the ones that are kind of co-leading the team. But basically what it is it's creating a positive environment at our school. And that's important for students to be a part of, to where they know if you're motivated to come to school and it's a positive place to be, your mental health is going to increase. It's not kids giving therapy to other kids or kids, diagnosing or any of that. It's all about creating that positive, atmosphere and reducing the stereotype that kind of surrounds mental health. So.
The Zenbin, is that something the teachers send them to, or they go on their own?
They have to have permission to go. We have a list of kids that we have identified. It's written, some of the students have like calming areas written into their IEPs, whatever that might be. They can't just go by themselves though. They have to call and get permission or make sure. That's why we kind of spread them out to make sure somebody was there to support them. So if Mrs. Starcher's not available because she's teaching, they could go to Mr. Myers. Or if neither of them are available, they could go see Amanda or Ty or whoever.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Amanda.
I don't really have much more to say. Callie, she touched all the basis of what we do. What I was asked, as Mr. McCall said, to present, it's a panel discussion presentation. So it's me and 5 others that will be on this panel, and they sent me a list of questions that will be answered. And it's basically just saying what we do and how we were so successful our first year. How we improved attendance, behaviors, which the PBIS covered, how we do that. One of the biggest contributions to the success was the staff-student mentoring. The staff was huge in this, from teachers, coaches, whoever we could get that student connected with, we used them. Some other things that I will have to talk about there will be, they want to know, of course not using names, but they'll want to know success stories. I have one that really stands out, well 2, but we really, for one student, we really had to pull some outsiders to help us get success for this student. He really needed the support. It included child protective services, adult protective services, even a court system from another state. So it was very beneficial to him. We worked on this for the student hours, days, weeks probably for him, and to see he graduated from this other state and he's working and it's a true success. He wasn't able to finish here, but he's a success nonetheless. They will ask the supports that we have in our school, which Callie really touched a lot on those. I do plan on talking a lot about our Meeks Monday and how beneficial that was. I really hate that Miss Meeks has moved on, so we will address that at the beginning of the year and to find another teacher who may be willing to step up that can help with this. The academic and the social emotional, the students that were in that really bonded with each other, especially the social emotional, and that was the purpose, was to get those students together and to get them out of their shell, to show them that school isn't a bad place, you have friends, you have the people who's there. They're going to ask me other things, like how I get parents to sign my consent forms, things like that. That's a very good question. I mean, sometimes it is hard to get parents to understand what communities and schools is, but once they understand, we get the people to sign up for the parents, and they're on board. We've actually had parents that will call and and are asking, what can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? We have outside support in our community. Calhoun Banks is a huge help to us with incentive-like things. They donated 4 tablets to our students, and what we've done with that, every 9 weeks, we chose the student. They didn't have to be a communities and school student. They just had to show improvement, all around improvement, grades, behaviors, attendance, all around. So we were able to give each 9 weeks a student a tablet, and they really look forward to seeing who was getting that. We had some others that you wouldn't necessarily think would be part of the group that makes it successful. The eye doctor at Walmart on Southside, he done some vision things for a student at no cost to anyone, just to help out. We had a dental office in Parkersburg do the same thing. I contacted them, told them the need, tried to see what the cost would be and how we could cover it, and they said, don't worry about it. So it truly takes all these individuals and the community, even outside of Warren County, to make it successful, and we have.
Thank you, Amanda. That was really good. I appreciate all of the work that you all have done to make CIS and PBIS a success over the past year, and congratulate you on your accomplishment, and thank you for all your hard work.
I do have a question. Your food pantry and clothes closet, how is that coming along? Is it well used? Do you need more help from the community?
We will always take donations from the community. Through the summer, we have had a few people reach out. I know through the school year, though, it is utilized so much. As the students have learned, and the parents have learned that it's there, and they can, in confidence, come to myself or call the office and say, hey, I need something, it really took off after they learned that it was there.
Do you have certain hours, or do you just have to get a hold of your?
Well, school hours, but during the summer, they contact the board office or the high school office, and we will get someone over there to give them what they need.
Thank you.
So I'm going to wrap up with CIS because I think it's important for the board members to understand that our school was chosen to help represent the CIS program because when we first started this year, our program director told Amanda, we don't really expect you to have really a caseload or anything this year. And not only did Amanda get the program set up and running, but we ran the expected caseload that schools across the state have not been able to achieve yet. So that's one of the reasons that Amanda has been asked to come and be one of the panel members, is because we were successful in 1 year. And, I like to think that, through the help of not only the school and the staff and everything that Amanda and our maintenance staff has done, but all of our community support. We've had lots of community members who will call and say, hey, what's the need this week? Or we can put it out there, hey, we have a couple of kids in need of a size 12 tennis shoe, and they just show up at the front office. So, we're very thankful for our community support, whether that be here in Warren County or even in surrounding counties. Because we're all about the kids and seeing that they have the supports they need. Thank you.
Now, you mentioned some community support outside of the school district. Do we have a formal program to recognize the members of the community who go above and beyond to help these programs?
A formal program, no.
Is that something that we could look into? Because when we have community members that, like you mentioned, the eye doctor or something, they do that on their own. Something that we can show our appreciation, even if it's a letter from the board or a certificate recognizing them, to let them know we appreciate that they're going above and beyond that with us.
We've sent postcards from the school thanking them. Lots of the postcards, all of the kids have signed, so it's really nice. And our kids, like I said, have really been involved not only in the PBIS part of it, but also the CIS. They help stock the shelves, like I said, word of mouth, with patrons that have come in and shopped in the store. They tell other parents, hey, it's not what you think. It's not so-and-so is coming to use the store at the high school. It's very private, it's very confidential. It's basically take what you need. And what we've found is we've had to pretty much tell some of the patrons, don't think about just today, think about the week. We want you to take what you need for the week, or until you're going to, be able to have the supports or the supplies that you need. So, very appreciative of these programs. So, thank you.
Do we have any delegations?
No delegations.
So, next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from July 9th meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve the minutes. Moving on to finance. The payment of the invoices.
So moved.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for your consideration and approval this evening, we have 3 runs of expenditures. The first on 7/18/2024, totaling $1,636.15. This is encompassing remaining invoices from June for food service, bus driver physicals, and PT services. The next run of expenditures, also on 7/18/2024, totals $52,090.37. Noteworthy in this, we have Aptigee for $9,760.28 for our website hosting, and then Admentum for $11,615. This is our educational software licenses. Then the final run, also on 7/18/2024, totals $31,063.10. Noteworthy in this is the One to College SAT prep for Warren County High School software license, and $10,000 for our dental vision insurance coverage. These 3 runs of expenditures total $84,789.62.
No budget transfers?
That will be on
Oh, next.
the next.
So,
We've got one supplement and no transfers, but that's on the next item.
do we have any questions about the invoices? No questions? Motion to accept invoices is read.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion accepted. Budget transfers?
No budget transfers, but one supplement this evening.
Budget supplements?
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's only one budget supplement, and this is the funding for our Communities in Schools grant coming through for this year in the amount of $73,500.
Any questions about budget supplements? No questions? Motion to accept them?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next under finance, the color guard purchase for new equipment.
So moved.
So, as was discussed at the last board meeting, I think it was the will of the board to set forth $3,800 for the Warren County High School marching band color guard. We've not had that in several years, as they discussed last time, and this is going to help them purchase equipment and things. while they're doing fundraisers to support themselves, onward, this will get them started. So happy to bring that back to you for your consideration tonight.
Do you feel, make sure that the money's there for the,
Yes,
feel comfortable?
yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion about this? I think this is a good program. It'll improve both starting color guard, but also enhance the band.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's been several competitions that came down to very close, and if you don't have that, you just don't get the points for it. So it'll make the band more competitive.
Do we have a motion to authorize the $3,800 payment for the color guard purchase of new equipment and costumes?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. On to routine business. Personnel matters. Have resignations and leave of absences.
So we,
First one, resignations. Mr. McCowney, you want to talk about the first one?
Sure. This is Carrie Lemley. She is a business teacher at Worth County Middle School, Worth County High School. And her letter is in your packet. She has accepted employment outside of the field of education. She has been an outstanding teacher for us and has done an excellent job. I'm very sad to see her go, but wish her well in her new position. So, any questions?
So we have,
Both of them.
take both of them together. Well, do you want to discuss the second one? or-
Sure, if you want to take both of them in one motion. So the second teacher, Sarah Bills, she is a math teacher here at the high school. Her letter is in your packet. She has accepted a position at St. Mary's High School for the upcoming year. Again, she has done a good job for us and hate to see her go, but wish her well in her new position.
Motion to accept both resignations.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to employment. Discuss the esports assistant coach.
So we are ending up reposting that. We had some applicants, but when it came time to interview, neither one of them responded, and they both had made other commitments, and they withdrew their applications. So that we will repost.
Any questions? Any motion to post that?
Yeah. So, and likewise with the assistant baseball coach, we had no applicants for that, so I plan to bring that back. We will put that back up and bring it back to a later board meeting. And D, E, and F are in the same boat, so really the only thing for the board to take action on will be C and G.
Yeah, so go ahead and go to C, if you can tell us about that.
Okay, so as was discussed earlier, Kelly Meeks, we accepted her resignation a couple board meetings back. She has taken a counselor position in Pleasants County, so that vacated the social studies teacher position. And the successful candidate that is Matthew Hayes. If you remember, he was employed here year before last. Kelly Meeks was in and filled his vacancy last year, and we had several applicants for that, but Mr. Hayes was the successful candidate for that position.
Did we get a motion?
Not yet, we're still discussing. Yeah, about C, about Mr. Hayes.
See.
Nobody did motion.
So moved.
Sorry about that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
have any applicants, so we are going to repost that. Brings us down to
G for substitute teacher, Lindley.
So moved.
So in her resignation letter, she did ask if she could be put on as a substitute teacher, and we're always in need of that, so happy to bring that to you for your consideration.
Any discussion? Motion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Under, nothing under new business. Down to information.
So that brings us down to
Board,
concerns.
board concerns?
I'm good.
Fine. All right, so no board concerns. Next point on the agenda is the next regular meeting, August 6th, in the cafeteria, 6 p.m. So the cafeteria is going to be.
The cafeteria will be back up and running, and I would make a note to everybody that starting next month, instead of the second and the fourth Tuesday, it's going to be the first and the third Tuesday, so that's a little different. So just making everybody aware out in the studio audience that it's been the second and the fourth for quite a number of years, so it's going to be a little bit different. But the board meetings, regularly scheduled board meetings, are now going to be on the first and the third Tuesdays of the month.
Thank you for that. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?